Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Recap Saturday's game. Obviously disappointed in the outcome and, our play in a lot of areas, to be honest with you. And I think that, the good thing about a loss like that is that everybody's really to blame because we each had an equal part, coaches, head coach, players included, and, subpar performance. So, I don't know if we handled the trip the best we could possibly handle it. We have another one of those facing us this weekend and a long bus ride that we got to go handle and do a better job of getting up and getting ready to play and getting off to a better start. And we haven't had an opportunity, throughout the season yet to where we didn't get off to a good start. And I think we got to just understand that there's plenty of football left to play if it doesn't go your way in the early moments of the game. So some situations that arose throughout the course of the game that, maybe we didn't do a good job of handling, we got to do a better job, and, because as these games progress and they just get harder as you go on. So, but I don't want to overshadow a couple really good individual performances by some guys. I thought that, Max and Hook was outstanding on defense in one of his better games. Jerwan Newton, obviously, and some of our receivers had some really highlighted plays. John Allen Richard did a really good job stepping in for Tucker, and when we lost him throughout the course of the football game there, and some guys, a loss the outcome always takes precedent over maybe some of the hidden things that went on, and the scoreboard didn't reflect it, but I thought there were some really good individual performance as well that we can build on and we continue to work on. So turn the page this week to NIU. Obviously a very quality opponent. A very well coached football team. You don't go to Notre Dame and win at Notre Dame, by accident. This is a good physical team that wants to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Lean on you on the offensive front and really do a good job of establishing the run game and trying to control and dictate the pace of the game and the clock that way. They've been playing really, really sound defense. I think it's a very active front, really good at linebacker, big-bodied guys that fill gaps. And, I think the defensive front does a good job of keeping those guys clean, but they scrape it up and do a good job cleaning up the runs that get out. An active secondary that has length and can cover. And a team that we're very familiar with, and we've had a lot of history with this football team and know that this is an important game for both teams and both organizations. So we're going to have a great week of practice. Got to get on that field tomorrow and do a great job of getting the fine details coached. And, it's a slippery slope, right, fixing the mistakes that you had in the game on Saturday and really turning the page to play another quality opponent. But, looking forward to the week ahead and going to DeKalb and playing, like I said, playing a quality team.
At the midway point, I'd say the biggest red flag is the rushing offense. How worrisome, I guess, is it, and 6 games in, how correctable?
How worrisome is our rush offense? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that, you've played 2 teams back-to-back that, no matter what you do formationally, they're going to make sure you don't run the football. I think we've had some injuries on the offensive line. I think that we've had some inconsistencies at running back from who's out there and injuries there. We were getting some quality production with the quarterback run game there a little bit in the sense of you're able to supplement it. But, you can take it however you want to take it. The bottom line is we got to be better at running it to set up the table for the rest of it. And, I don't think the lack of run game in the first quarter of that football game turned the table Saturday. I think the lack of execution on conversion downs put us in a bad spot. And then from there, it became a throw-only game type of thing. So, we've had some high-pressure teams we've played early. We've talked about this after wins. I'll stand on that there's some inconsistencies throughout the course of some of those early games due to the fact of what other teams are doing to us. But also at the same time, we got to be able to. It's 3rd and 1. We got to be able to pick up a yard. There's no sugarcoating that. We got to be better in those scenarios and in those situations, and working hard to make sure we get those things ironed out.
Are you confident in the second half of the season you can be a good run team?
Well, I think that I would lean on the people in our building that we have, and I would lean on history as we've historically been a very strong rushing team, 1 or 2 in the top of the conference, my entire time here. And it's a point of emphasis. It's not going to change from a point of emphasis. And now the production and how we get it and how we do it, we got to go out and we got to do it. But I think that sets the table for everything. You've heard me talk about this before. That's how you get good play action passes, and no team in late October, early November is going to sit there and be able to drop back past 60 to 70 times a football game and win. It's just not a recipe for successful football at any level. So, yes, there'll be a point of emphasis to make sure that we get things corrected there and make sure that we get comfortable on some things that we can hang our hat on schematically that we can fall back on that our players feel really good about.
Injury-wise, Tucker, what's his status?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to comment on any of that. That's one, it's not fair to him, and two, like we don't know. So, and I'd say there's a bunch of guys in that boat. You know what I mean? And I think that I hope that we get some of the guys back that have been out for the last couple of weeks and get some reduction out of those guys, because it doesn't seem like a big deal throughout the course of the week because you're very confident in your guys, but there's a difference between a starter and a non-starter for a reason, and there's 8 weeks 8 months of preparation that would lead that to be the case. So you got to get some of those guys back, but it's it's the middle of the college football season and everybody's dealing with injuries.
Two straight weeks. So against Miami, Tucker graded out as the best passer in the country on PFF this week. John Allen graded out as the best passer. What's the story there? Like, what do you think that says?
I don't know. I think it's a tribute to their preparation, first of all. I think that it's, they have good players to throw the ball to. I thought we did a good job in pass protection Saturday, and handling what became a one-sided game in the sense of we have to throw it. They know we're going to throw it. There's really not a opportunity for play action pass in that particular scenario. There's not an opportunity just to sit and hand the ball off for, the clock just getting bled out, and you want to make sure you maximize your possessions and the limited ones you're going to get. So I think our offensive line did a really good job that way in the pass protection piece of it. And some guys played their better, some of their, better games that they've played here in their career. And yeah, I mean, credit to those two guys for their preparation and their, the accuracy that they have and the decision making that they have, and like I said, the people around them that were able to, help them bring their play up.
These last 3 seasons, I mean, Tucker coming in as a backup cold when you don't know you're going to play is obviously pretty difficult. And I mean, Tucker and John Allen have kind of excelled at that. I don't know. I guess just how much preparation goes into kind of being a backup, and I mean,
yeah,
you typically, like, John Allen was not expecting to play,
right?
Obviously.
Well, I mean, I think I commented on this after the game. I mean, that's a hard scenario to be in, right? I mean, you talk all the time, and these guys would tell you, they hear me every day talking about don't miss your moment, your moment's going to come, and and it does, and you either play really good or you don't, and you feel some type of way on either scenario. So you want to be able to, when that thing shows up, you want to be able to know that you prepared, and a lot of that preparation for the backup players, especially the backup quarterback, a lot of that's done in the dark. I mean, it's not, you don't get the first team reps at practice, you don't get when the twos it's an abbreviated block of plays that the ones, ran, but it's a very small segmented piece of it, so you don't get everything that's on time. Sometimes you're working the 2 offense against the 1 defense, and trying to replicate the other team's plays at practice. So you may be getting reps, but they're not necessarily game plan reps per se. So to do that and to go into play like that, it's a testament to his preparation, and ultimately, throughout the summer and the spring practices, like him taking good reps and really learning from his mistakes and from his successes.
Maybe you were prisoners of the moment, but all across college football, it seems like the week-to-week swings have never been more extreme than they are now. I don't know if it's with the NIL and transfer era, turning over rosters a little more, just the modern media landscape. Do you sense like the week-to-week extremes have never been crazier across the entire landscape, and why do you think that might be?
Well, I mean, I think that, you wouldn't be asking the question if you didn't do your research on that. So there's statistical data that would prove that that's true. And I just think that, I've always felt that if your preparation's not airtight, like you're really, really running a risk of slipping up, and I think there's so many different variables of, like it's not consistent across the board when it comes to start times. It's not consistent across the board when it comes to travel. It's not consistent coming across the board when it comes to, where, there's a lot of variables when it comes to how you get to the game. And then there's a billion variables once the game starts. And, every team's good, and that's always been my thought process. It's always been how we approached each and every week. Like, you don't bring your best, you get punched in the mouth and you get beat. And, some teams handle that better than others. You got veteran teams that are really consistent in their approach, and they can take a punch and it doesn't faze them at all. You have others that are in the middle, and then you have others that just don't handle it very well at all. And you want to stay above that line and do everything you can as a staff and as a leadership group on the football team to make sure that the young players in the room know that, man, like, we're halfway through. This is not the end of the season here. Like, there's so much more football to play and so many, so many more things to go do, and embracing the day-to-day grind of getting better. And can your Tuesday tomorrow be better than what it was last week? And I think the teams that do that, they have less of those moments.
I hope that answers your question.
Is there any, I'm not saying there should or shouldn't be, but when you lose one of your first 2 conference games, like, does it create any sort of sense of urgency in terms of, like, getting to the MAC title game? Or
I don't care about the MAC title game. I really don't right now. Like, that is not a worry of mine one bit. Like, my worry is how till we get this football team to play the best it can possibly play on Saturday. And then after that, there's somebody else waiting for us that provides another set of challenges. And quite honestly, I felt the same way last Monday, worrying about going to Buffalo and handling that trip and handling that what newness and what things that could pop up that could trip us up. And obviously, I didn't do a good enough job with it, So I'm not losing sleep over the MAC championship. I'm a process-oriented person that believes that if you do things the right way each and every day, those things that are carrots at the end of the road for teams that prepare better than everybody else for the longevity, they'll be waiting for you. Like, I have total faith in that. And if you don't throughout the process, and that process isn't airtight, and that process gets severed in any way, you won't be there. So when you lose, how you lose, what it looks like when you lose, I don't care. Like, we lost, and you got to fix it, and you got to do a good job making sure you address what those issues are and get it corrected. And it doesn't quite feel the same, but you could honestly say that after every win too, because there's another challenge waiting on you here 6 days from now. So, and like I said, I firmly believe that we haven't been as successful as we have been by worrying about things that are months away. We got to stay in the moment, and the teams do that the best. Like back to Dave's question, I think they have a better chance of not falling down.